Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in chapter 16 of 2 Samuel, continuing with the story of David and Ziba. When David had gone a short distance beyond the summit, there was Ziba, the steward of... It's a really long one. This is Jonathan's son. Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth. Probably butchering that, but it's the best I can figure with this sounding it out. Waiting to meet him. He had a string of donkeys saddled and loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 cakes of raisin, 100 cakes of figs, and a skin of wine. Well, that's quite a thing. The king asked Ziba, "Why have you brought these?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride on. The bread and the fruit are for the men to eat, and the wine is to refresh those who become exhausted in the desert." The king then asked, "Where is your master's grandson?" Ziba said to him, "He is staying in Jerusalem because he thinks today the house of Israel will give me my grandfather's kingdom. You'll give me back my grandfather's kingdom." Then the king said to Ziba, "All that belonged to Mephibosheth is now yours." "I humbly bow," Ziba said. "May I find favor in your eyes, my lord the king." Shimei curses David. As King David approached Bahurim, Bahurim, a man from the same clan as Saul's family came out from there. His name was Shimei, son of Gera, Gera, and he cursed as he came out. He pelted David and all the king's officials with stones, though all the troops and the special guard were on David's right and left. As he cursed, Shimei said, "Get out! Get out! You man of blood, you scoundrel! The Lord has repaid you for all the blood you shed in the household of Saul, in whose place you have reigned. The Lord has handed the kingdom over to your son, Absalom. You have come to ruin because you are a man of blood." Because you're a warrior, whereas for Absalom is a charmer. Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let us go over and cut off his head." But the king said, what do you and I have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? Is he cursing because the Lord said to him, "Curse David"? Who can ask, why do you do this?" David then said to Abishai and his officials, My son who is of my own flesh is trying to take my life. How much more than this Benjaminite? Leave him alone. Let him curse, for the Lord has told him to. It may be that the Lord will see my distress and repay me with good for the cursing I am receiving today. So David and his men continued along the road while Shimei was going along the hillside opposite him, cursing as he went and throwing stones at him and showering him with dirt. The king and all the people with him arrived at their destination exhausted, and there he refreshed himself. Right? I find that funny because I was having a moment, before this, in which I was quite frustrated, and more or less because somebody being a jerk, with this kind of same attitude. So it's more or less like, be more like David. Yeah. If God told him to do it, I couldn't stop it anyway, because it's not like I could stop the will of God. The advice of Hushai and Ahithophel. So Hushai, S-H-U-S-H, like hush, A-I. Hushai, and Ahithophel, Ahithophel. Meanwhile, Absalom and all the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. Then Hushai the Archite, David's friend, went to Absalom and said to him, "Long live the king, long live the king." Absalom asked Hushai, "Is this the love you show your friend? Why don't you go with your friend?" Hushai said to Absalom, "No, the one chosen by the Lord, by these people, by all the men of Israel, his I will be, and I will remain with him. Furthermore, who should I serve? Should I not serve the son, just as I served your father? So I will serve you." Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give us your advice. What should we do?" Ahithophel answered, "Lie with your father's concubines." Now that's very specifically in the Torah about not lying with your father's wives, because it disrespects your father. And, most of the time we're going, but it's your mom. No, they mean your stepmoms. Lie with your father's concubines, whom he left to take care of the palace. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourself a stench in your father's nostrils, and the hands of everyone with you will be strengthened. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he lay with his father's concubines in the sight of all of Israel. Now in those days the advice of Ahithophel gave was like that of one who inquires of God. That is how both David and Absalom regarded all of Ahithophel's advice. This is not godly advice, though. It's never godly advice for you to have sex with, your father's, like with your stepmoms. I don't care what age you were when they got married, they're still your stepmom. That's just weird. Ugh. We're going to see how this story continues in the next video, friends. Hello, friends! So, video 2, Bible study, the Niv, John, chapter 15. We're starting at verse 18, and we're taking it to verse 27. That'll be all of chapter 15. There's a whole other video. That one is the vine and the branches. This one is the world hates the disciples. Frequently, because remember, in this society, in the Jewish world, there is no hell. Heaven is the only other plane of existence. Earth is hell. Earth is where you learn your lessons, so essentially earth is hell. Now for a Christian, earth is where you get your punishment for what you did here. That is not their perception of the world, agreeing or not agreeing, inconsequential in the course of this text. Okay? In the course of this text. So, to Jesus, the person before him, because God gave him dominion of earth, he says that repeatedly in the verses. To him, though, when he's coming onto earth, roaming around and healing people and doing those things he's doing, Satan has dominion of earth. He calls him the prince of this plane. In several different versions of the text, okay? Because to him, earth is hell, and Satan rules over hell. We all know Satan rules over hell. It's just, in his perception, that's this plane. And he's here to disrupt that. Because humanity was, quite frankly, terrible. Terrible. They were pretty terrible. Brutality was commonplace. If you were a slave, you would have been paraded through the streets naked. That's just what it was. These are, like, you can go watch Spartacus, the TV show, not the movie. Not the Charleston Heston movie, the TV show, because it's graphic and terrible. But it's also in the time of Joseph, Jesus' dad, his dad's time. I don't remember who Joseph's dad it was in this moment right now, so I can't tell you that name. But whoever that was, during his time frame. So this would be like the entering stage, is what I want you to understand, that Jesus is coming into, and humans definitely not treating other humans like humans. I mean, there are humans even today that still struggle with treating other humans like they're humans. So it was worse. Further back you go in time, the more brutal it is. That's why I get very confused by all these people who want to make things like they were before. And I'm like, no. That's the opposite of what... The earlier you get in time, the stronger the hold Satan had on the world. So if you're asking to go back to some kind of thing that was like it was before, you're asking for Satan to have more control. Because we have not reached the age yet where Jesus has control over everyone and everything. That is called Revelations. We're not there. Okay? I mean, it's pretty specific and in here. You should go pay more attention, I guess, is what I'm saying. Okay. So, verse 18. The world hates the disciples. And my brain is like, of course they would. If this world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to this world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world. But I have chosen you out of this world. This is why the world hates you. Your light irritates their demons. You've heard this before, I'm sure, if you're watching these videos. Remember the words I spoke to you. No servant is greater than his master. Correct? If they persecuted me, they will persecute you also. Oh yeah, if you're going to go running around spitting truth to people who are in positions of power who don't want the truth you're speaking to come out. And this is all avenues. It doesn't have to be... All truth belongs to God. All truth. So, he's all about that truth. He doesn't like deception. He doesn't like any of those things. It's not in the love vibration. Those things are out of alignment with heaven. The idea is that if you're always doing what you should be doing when you should be doing it, you don't need to lie. So, now, that would be his ideal. I understand that we're not there. So I understand. So I'm not being judgmental of you if you feel like starting getting defensive. All right. So if you're getting defensive of anything I'm reading, that is really kind of an invitation to go heal, and I invite you to explore that. But definitely, if you are a person who's seeing something that's incongruent with and being in alignment with heaven, and you vocalize that to a person who's in a position of power, whose incentive is to keep the power structure the way it is because it benefits them, you should expect them to persecute you. That is what they're going to do. If they were good people, they probably wouldn't be doing that thing. Now, if you think it's just a matter of education, it might be. But if they're not in vibration with heaven and you're not sure, you have to be prepared. So you need to think ahead. You need to think ahead. That's what that means. If you know what they're going to do, you need to be then thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead of them. It's called discernment. And God will give it to you if you're in alignment with heaven. That's part of how you know you're doing what you're doing, because He'll help you. If you obey my teachings, they will obey yours also. They will treat you this way because of my name, for they did not know the one who sent me. Okay? If you had not come and spoken to them, they would not be guilty of sin. Now, however, they have no excuse for their sin. See, because you called out something that they were trying to keep hidden. And they didn't have to think about it. They didn't have to think about how they were treating somebody else and how that might hurt them. So expect them to have this explosive reaction of, what do you mean I'm not a good person and I can't just treat people however I want? Which I actually do cover a little bit in the thing before about the perception of what power even means to us in this realm, right? So power to us means do whatever you want to anybody and there's no consequence. That's not in heaven alignment. So now you're exposing that they're actually not a good person, right? They're going to get angry. I've experienced this personally. It had nothing to do with religion whatsoever. It had everything to do with business. And it didn't matter. That person came for me then. I had to leave the company. But it's okay. I'm in a better, more healing place now, and I don't have to deal with any of that. But that is the reaction that you should expect. He who hates me hates my Father as well. The devil doesn't, anybody serving the devil does not like truth. That's really basically what it comes down to. They're big on illusions. Look for that illusion magic. If I had not done among them what no one else did, exposed their lies, they would not be guilty of sin. They still would have been guilty of sin. They just wouldn't have to have the world know. I mean, God knows everything we're doing. That's why it's a waste of time to try to lie to him or have any kind of illusions or any rest of the... He can see everything that you're doing. He is the reason when you do something that you're not supposed to be doing, you feel guilty at all. Which is actually a good thing. If you're feeling guilty about doing something wrong, that means God is still with you, he's still in you, and he's trying to talk to you through that emotion. So that you know where to correct. He wants you to be successful, so then you should correct. If you feel guilty about something, you need to examine that. Because either you shouldn't feel guilty, and it's really like, because narcissists, that's a mental, like it affects you.
Motion detected at
Physically, mentally, emotionally, it affects you negatively. So, careful, right? You might need counseling to get past that because you shouldn't feel guilty, or it might be that you shouldn't have done that in the first place, and that's why you feel guilty. So look at either one, because you may owe somebody an apology. And it's really just that simple. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. If you're willing to show that you're willing to be corrected and treat people differently and change the way you're actively interacting with the world, he then blesses you. Every lesson is a blessing. That's why they call them blessings. Because when you get through a lesson, you get through a lesson and then you pass a test, you get a blessing. Every test actually brings you to something good if you learn from it. But now they have seen these miracles, and yet they hated both me and my Father. Right? Because they couldn't just be like, this is wonderful. Because like I said, it was a choice. Their response was a choice. They didn't want to find the Messiah. And they're supposed to be actively seeking their Messiah. That's the culture. But this is to fulfill what is written in their law. They hated me without reason. That's very true. When the counselor comes, the Holy Spirit, whom I send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth, who goes out from the Father, he will testify about me. The Holy Spirit will take upon us and will tell us how much we love Jesus. Yes. And you must also testify, for you have been with me from the beginning. Now, to the apostles specifically, yes, because if for the religion to be able to become a religion or the belief system to take hold, people have to keep proclaiming the power of his word, must keep going forward. We are, in fact, being proper disciples when we testify. And that is why those people who are in positions of power, who don't want truth to be out everywhere and to be known and to have their sins exposed to the world, always tried to hush those people. They always tried to silence the whistleblowers, right? That's why we have to have these laws to protect them. You have to remember that we are a reactionary society. We create laws after somebody did something we didn't like because it feels like it should be illegal. Because there's always going to be people who skate along the edge of the law looking for the loophole. That's why he says it's your intention that matters. No matter how they decide to show worship to God, remember their relationship with God is theirs and it's not yours. He's not telling you to run around and harm people. He's telling you to teach. And he's telling you to love. But he's telling you to expect their hate. It's going to be that way one way or the other. You can't control what other people do. You can only control how you respond. So remember, the commandment was to teach, testify, love, and heal. So let's interact with the world that way today. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in Psalms. Well, we're in the Niv, so we should start there. Niv, Psalms, Book 5, Psalm 119. We are continuing where we left off with our alphabets. So we're in verse 33, and in this video, we are going to verse 48. So this one is hey, which hey looks like that. Okay. That's hey. Now, hey is the letter H, but it is also the number 5. It means behold, to show, or to reveal. Remember, these are, not just A, there's A, B, C. It's not like that. In fact, there aren't really vowels in Hebrew. Okay, verse 33 here. Teach me, O Lord, to follow your decrees. Then I will keep them to the end. Give me understanding, and I will keep your law and obey it with all my heart. Direct me in your path, in the path of your commands, for there I find delight. Turn my heart towards your statutes and not towards selfish gain. Turn my eyes away from worthless things. Preserve my life according to your word. Fulfill your promises to your servants so that you may be feared. Take away the disgrace I dread, for your laws are good. How I long for your precepts. Preserve my life in your righteousness. And then wow, W-A-W, or also sometimes valve, V-A-W. Now, this is one of those special characters. This one here also, on top of being V and W, is also sometimes A, O, or U, because remember, there are no real vowels. There are two consonants to sort of sub for vowels. It is also the number 6. It is a nail, a peg, a hook, a joining together, a making secure, or a becoming bound, like something being nailed to. May your unfailing love come to me, O Lord, your salvation according to your promise. Then I will answer the one who taunts me, for I trust your word. Do not snatch the word of truth from my mouth, for I have put my hope in your laws. I will always obey your law, forever and ever. I will walk about in freedom, for I have sought your precepts. I will speak of your statutes before kings and will not be put to shame, for I delight in your commands because I love them. I lift up my hands to your commands, which I love, and I meditate on your decrees. Until the next video, friends.